Dr. Devin, I bought a podcast microphone. Yes. That's how it starts. That's how it starts. Who else? What have you done differently? I want to celebrate you before we get started. Dr. Kristen said, talk to partners about potential upgrades to our social. Yes, yes, yes. Very good. I have had people who have had massive growth, students from the EntreMD Business School, massive growth from leveraging social media for their private practices. Hi, Dr. Thailand. Hello, hello. Who else did something new? I want to hear a few more. You did something new because we're here to learn to do. We do not have learnitis. Dr. Patrice said, talk to providers about my service offering. Yeah, start building those referral sources. Dr. Cohen, I'm thinking of things in terms of my ideal client, and I'm starting to think about being on YouTube and or podcast. Awesome. Awesome. And if there's anything we as physicians, the physician space needs physicians owning their voices, right? There's so much misinformation. Imagine if we went all the way out there with the right information, what that would look like. So love it, love it, love it that you guys are doing that. Today, we're going to have an absolutely amazing time. This is something, what we're going to talk about today will make you do it'll give you the ability to do the things we've talked about from day one till now. And even though you may be busy, you're like, Dr. Una, I hear you, but if you could see my life and my schedule right now, you would not be talking to me about this because there's no space anywhere for me to do this. But you're going to find how to do this, where you build a brand that's almost like omnipresent, but you're still good. You're not rushed. You're not hurried. You're not burnt out from creating content, right? Like I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay. If we haven't met before, I hope we've all met. If we haven't met before, I'm Dr. Una. I'm a pediatrician. I'm a lover of physicians. I'm the CEO of a company called EntreMD, where we help doctors build profitable businesses so they can live life and practice medicine on their terms. We do this through the EntreMD podcast. Since we're talking about podcasts, 410 episodes now, which is totally insane. We do that through a number of books that we've written, and then the EntreMD Business School. There are a number of doctors. Dr. Shatal, I see you. I see Dr. Carey, Dr. Michelle Quirk. You're going to meet some of them today. And it's just been my life's privilege to work with, hundreds of these docs in the EntreMD Business School. So, Dr. Gloria said, I'm looking to join a blog for my prospective client. Like, okay, I love it. All right. So Makita alluded a little bit to my life, but, I am somebody who believes that I will not build a business at the expense of my life. I'm not going to give up my fitness. I'm not going to give up my family. I'm not going to give up my faith because I'm building a business. It's me and then the business. And so in the EntreMD Business School, the way we put it is we're building our dream business and our dream life concurrently. Okay. And so one of the things we have to do in order to do that is learn how to do the things we need to do in less time, not more time, right? How to get rid of the things that are non-essentials and all of that. So I'm going to be walking you through that. Like Makita said, I don't know. I think I'm at 3 or 4 podcasts. I don't know how many podcasts I have now. I have those. I write books. I lead the EntreMD Business School. I have 4 children. I homeschool the older 2. I mentor. I have a lot of different mentorship communities that I run, and I pastor church with my husband. So if anybody understands not having time, I understand not having time. But I want to show you how to have a life that has that level of impact, and you're okay, you're cool, you're great. Okay. All right. So I still get to work out every day. I still take out time to pray and meditate every day. I still spend time with my children. I still have time to read books. I read a book a week. I still have time to do all of that because of what I'm going to show you today. Okay. So who's ready? Let me know in the chat. Or maybe I'm in the wrong room and I'll just scurry along. Who's ready? Who's like, what? Tell me all the things. Okay. I am going to give you 3 things, okay? Like everything else we've done, this is going to be simple, but it's going to be simple. And if you do it, it will change your life. Okay, so we're going to look at 3 things. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at, Dr. Patrice says, I'm ready for all the things, all the things. The first thing, well, maybe before I talk about the first thing, there is this concept that the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So the beautiful thing about this is that you learn to master it for your business, you end up mastering it for your life. Like you just end up doing this in all the areas of your life. So the first thing is batching. The first thing is batching. It's like the eighth wonder of the world, right? And an object in motion stays in motion, right? And so when you start doing something, it's easy to continue doing that thing. When you start doing something, it's easy to continue doing that thing. So let me give you a few examples, okay? So you guys, most people picked an HQ, right? Like blog, podcast, YouTube. I'm going to use podcast as my example because I'm a podcaster, but it applies to all the platforms. So I want you to think of this HQ. You may have thought, oh my goodness, every week I have to record a video for my YouTube and I have to record a podcast and blah, 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 blah. Let me show you how easy this can be. You can sit down for an hour and you can outline 4 podcast episodes, meaning you pick the topic, you pick your outline, right? These are the teaching points. This is my call to action, and you're done. How many of you truly believe in 1 hour you can write 4 outlines? Remember, you're not creating content. You're answering questions people ask you all the time, just this time with the camera or the microphone on. Let me know in the comments. How many of you are like, yeah, I can write 4 outlines in an hour. I can do that. I have 1 person. What? Okay, there are more there, right? In an hour, of course, I can write 4 outlines. I absolutely can. Okay. Now, Dr. Magda says, I can do that with ChatGPT. I got friends, y'all. I have ChatGPT. Between both of us, we'll get it done. So 4 seems like a lot in an hour, but then 15 minutes per outline is not bad, right? And after you've done it a number of times, because if I ask you if you can do 4 notes in an hour, you say, of course. But think about it. HPI, review of system, past medical social history. Like you'll do all of that and boom, boom, boom. Somebody else will look at it and say, that's complicated, not you, because you've done it many, many, many times, right? And so we can do 4 in an hour. Okay, so that's on one side. Okay, now, if you decide to go record, so let me say I did the outline and I want to record these 4 podcast episodes. Let's say it took me 30 minutes for each one. Remember, I'm showing up answering questions. I'm talking about my zone of genius, that like I'm just answering the questions I answer anyway, right? How many of you believe that I can do this in an hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours? Pick any number you like. 1, 2, or 3. Actually, let me know what you think. How many podcast episodes can Dr. Una, how long will it take her to record 4 podcast episodes? An hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. My feelings will not be hurt no matter what you say. Dr. Magda said, yeah, an hour. I have faith in you. Okay, so there's an hour, there's 2 hours, there's 3 hours, right? Dr. Michelle, you're probably right. She's like 90 minutes flat. She can do that. Dr. Cohen said, now when you first started. Well, now 2.5 hours. Okay, so bottom line is you guys think it's 3 hours or less, right? Okay, so that means I used 1 hour to outline my 4 episodes. I used 3 hours. I don't use 3 hours, but let's just say it took me 3 hours to record all my podcast episodes. So that's 4 hours. But guess what? You have 4 weeks in a month. So in those 4 hours, I have created everything I need for my HQ for a whole month. I just want you to think about that. A whole month done in 4 hours. And I can choose to do that in 1 day. So 1 day I just sat down, boom, 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 done. So I can take a break from podcasting, but my full-time employee is still working on podcasting every week. How many of you just like, Doctor, I don't know, I just like the sound of that. I like 4 hours? Are you kidding? Yes, ma'am. Let's do that. Right? So I want you to think about this. Batching is amazing because if we don't do it that way, guess what happens? If your podcast comes out on Monday, oh my goodness, Sunday night, you sneak in, you record the Monday episode and you spend the entire week thinking about the next episode that's due. And on Sunday, you record it. So podcasting becomes like hell, because it seems like you're always podcasting. But if you do it this way, you can podcast once a month. And every Monday, like clockwork, your episodes are going up. People are like, oh my goodness, you changed my life. I needed to hear that. Oh, and you're like, wait, what episode was that? I recorded that 4 weeks ago. I don't even remember what that was. Batching, batching, batching. So the question I have for you is this. If you know that if I spend 4 hours a week and I record my stuff strategically, like we learned yesterday, and I then have this full-time employee in my business that is growing my know, like, and trust factors, showcasing that I'm the person for the job. If you could get all that and it will cost you 4 hours a week, 4 hours a month, how many of you are like, I got 4 hours? I got 4 hours. Let me know in the chat. Yeah, Dr. Una, yes, I absolutely have 4 hours for you. For you, I will. Right? For you, I will. For you, I will. You guys see that? Okay. So that's the first one. And some of you just got 20 hours of your life back. You're welcome. Okay. So that's the first one. The second one is delegation. Delegation, 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 delegation. The idea in your business is that things need to be done. It does not mean it must be done by you. Yeah, the D word. Delegation, 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 all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. So I see people who tell me, I spent 2 hours editing my podcast. I'm like, please explain to me why. When somebody on Fiverr can do this for $10. Like, why? Why would I do that? Dr. J said, I feel you. I had a very hard time delegating. But it's the eighth wonder, right? No, the ninth wonder of the world. So when you think about, like editing, for some of you, so especially if your business is advanced and you have a team, you can literally record your stuff and hand the recording to your team. They will take it and make all the reels. They'll do all the editing. They'll do the show notes. They'll create the social media posts. They'll create the email. They'll do everything. Everything. You just need to sit, record, and walk away. Okay. So in the beginning, you may get somebody on Fiverr to do the editing and they'll do the show notes and all that kind of stuff. But as you grow in your delegation, right? So the 2 hours you were spending to edit each podcast episode, you just got that back for $10. For $10. Now listen to me. You might say, well, I don't really want to pay for that. My business just started. So let's do some math here. Okay. If you were to work a shift and they would pay you $300 an hour, and you spent 2 hours editing your podcast, that's $600. So my question is, would you ever, ever, ever pay anybody $600 to edit your podcast? The answer to that is no. So stop doing it. That is some really expensive editing. And the person who charged you $10 is probably better at it than you are. So go work the shift. Take $10 out of the $600 and go pay the person. Okay. But delegate. And for some of you, it may not just be, maybe you love doing your own social media and all of those things, but maybe it's delegation in your personal life. So you can create bandwidth for yourself, right? Like, so I delegate, like, I give up the laundry and the cleaning and all of those kind of things, have more space to work on my business, but delegate. One is too small a number for greatness, period. One is too small a number. And as physicians, you are given the gift of a high earning capacity so you can pay for the time of others. One of the reasons why you can earn a lot is so you can pay and acquire the hours of other people. Okay? How are we doing? Let me know in the chat. So you're batching, you're delegating, life is looking really good, but I'm about to give you one more. Let me know if you guys are like, I don't know how I feel about that. Then I'll keep the other one to myself. How are we doing? Let me know in the chat. Are you guys getting this? Are you guys getting hours back? Are you like, oh my goodness, life feels so much better already? It feels so good. Okay. Number three is repurposing. This is the 10th wonder of the world. Repurposing is like, oh my goodness. Okay. So let me explain what this means. Say you went to speak at an event. Okay. Guess what you can get out of that? You can get pictures that you use for social media. You can get reels, like videos of you speaking that you can use for reels. You can get stories out of that you can use for email. Like, you've done that thing once and you can use it over and over and over and over again. So when we talk about social media, we talk about this when we talk about, positioning yourself in the EntreMD Business School. We talk about your authority posts, right? Whether that's you speaking on stage or getting an award or whatever. You only need to get that stuff once, and then you rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat. That's one. Let's say you were a guest on somebody else's show. Sometimes what you can do is you can do swaps where we're gonna do this podcast episode together, but we're both podcasters. So you put it on your channel, I'll put it on my channel too, right? And so you've done one podcast, and remember, you're always talking to your ideal clients. So that's if it's ideal for your ideal clients, right? We don't create content just for the sake of creating content. Our content is a full-time employee, right? So remember our disciplines, right? Okay. So if it makes sense, you've done one podcast episode, but now you're in front of somebody else's audience and you're in front of your audience, nurturing them. 2 for the price of 1, okay? If you're in private practice, I'll give you this for free. You're in private practice, you're going to train a new MA. Oh my goodness, record it. And that way you've done it once. And guess what happens when the new MA comes? Watch these 5 videos first. Save yourself all the time you would have spent training over and over and over and over and over again, right? So you're doing workshops, all of these things, you can pull pieces of them and put on your content. So I've had times when I've done EntreMD Live, right? And I've taken portions of it and put it on my podcast. I have had times where I taught things in certain groups and I'm like, man, this is so good. And I took it and put it on my podcast. You can repurpose stuff. Now, people will sometimes tell me, well, people have heard me say that before. I've said that before. It's been said before. I've talked about that before. How many of you felt that way? Like, I've said this before. I don't want to keep repeating myself. Okay? I don't want to keep repeating myself. If you do a good job of content creation, you get bored. Like, bored, because you're like, I've said this before. If they got it, there will be no problems. If they got it the first time, all the problems will be gone. They're not. Okay? Think about how many times you had to learn the Krebs cycle before you finally got it. Okay? Okay, so this is the deal. This is a picture that I think you'll remember, you'll never forget. When it comes Christmas time, okay? When it comes Christmas time, people who are Christians are going to go to church. Every Christmas, they're going to go for a Christmas service, okay? Let me tell you what they're going to hear every Christmas service. They're going to hear that a baby was born and the baby is the Messiah and his name is Jesus. Guess how many Christmases they're going to hear that? Every single Christmas. And guess what they're going to do when it comes Christmas? They're going to go for Christmas service. Does it stop them from going because they've heard it before? No. Does it stop them from going because they can predict what is about to happen? No. So whenever you think I'm repeating myself, I want you to remember this and just go for it. Like, repeat yourself already. They did not hear you the first time. I've had people tell me, Dr. Una, you said this yesterday and oh my goodness. And I'm going like, you've been in this school for 3 years. I've been saying this at least once a quarter for 3 years. Because it takes us the time it takes for us to get what we need to get, period. So if you feel like I'm repeating myself, they don't feel that way, you do. Do you see what I'm saying? So don't be afraid to repurpose your stuff because you think I've said it before. They didn't get it. In fact, when they say, I heard you say that before, that's probably the first time they heard it. So repeat yourself. Actually, type that in the chat. I'm okay repeating myself. Let's practice. Type it in the chat.
Dr. Devin,
I am okay repeating myself. I am okay repeating myself. Repeat yourself. It's good. It's good for you. It's good for you. Okay. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay. All right. Beautiful. So what I want us to do, I want you to think about this. I want us to think about this, okay? If you will batch, you will save hours. If you will delegate, you will save hours. Some of you, there's one critical hire you bring on board and you save as much as 10 hours a week. Okay? If you repurpose, you will save yourself a lot of hours. I'll tell you guys a secret because I'm done with the experiment. On my Instagram page, I decided there was a 6-month period that I decided I just didn't want to create content and reels and stuff specifically for Instagram. And I took the content that I had over a 2-month period and just had it go on repeat for 6 months. I did not post there, not once. Guess what? Oh, I needed to hear that today. Why? Because it's still valuable, right? They're sharing it. All these things are happening. I had not put a new post for 6 months. So you can take breaks from social media. You can take break. I had a time where I batch recorded and I took 2 months off podcasting. I did not touch my podcast mic. I was off. But every Monday, there's a podcast episode. Every Monday, like clockwork. They're like, you're so consistent. Like, I sure am. I'm very consistent, right? I'm very consistent. So you don't have to burn out because you're serving people with content. The idea is doing it strategically. That's the point. That's the whole point. Okay? Okay, good. Love it, love it, love it. All right, so who's going to do this? Who's going to do it? Let me know in the chat. You're going to batch, you're going to delegate, you're going to repurpose. You're going to do it. Hi, Dr. Lindsay. You're going to do it. You're going to do it. It'll change your life. It'll change your life. It'll change your life forever. Okay. Well, I want you to meet some of my friends because we have, all right, see, just started batch creating videos again. Yes, after I talked yesterday. Awesome. Good job. I want to meet some of my friends. These are doctors from the EntreMD Business School who have been working this visibility formula and the batching and the delegating and the repurposing. So we're gonna talk to a few of them and see how embracing visibility and embracing business has actually changed their lives and all of that. So let me bring on our first guest. Dr. Michelle Quirk. Hi, Dr. Michelle.
Hi, Dr. Una. Hi, everybody.
Dr. Michelle Quirk is a pediatrician. So pediatricians unite. She's a pediatrician and well, I'll let you introduce yourself, but she's like the most amazing. So I'm so glad you're on here. So take a moment, introduce yourself, and I have tons of questions for you.
Sure. So I'm Michelle Quirk. I am a pediatrician in Philadelphia, and I am a run coach. I'm the founder of Mindful Marathon, where I help make running easy and fun for busy professionals like ourselves. And I've been a longtime member of the EntreMD Business School. We're going on what, year 4, maybe?
I have no idea. Going on year 4. It's so wild. Okay. So Dr. Michelle, and I will tell you, like, if running has ever been your thing, you definitely want to talk to her because she has me running, counting mailboxes, doing all kinds of fun stuff. So talk to me about the challenges that you were facing in your business before you joined the EntreMD Business School 4 years ago.
Yeah, well, I had just started coaching about a year before I joined the school. And so I had no idea what I was doing, guys. Like this was a passion project. Like I had become a runner and I was bringing my friends and family along for the ride. And what made it a business is that I started accepting money for that, and I had a lot of feelings about it at first. And I had no idea what I was doing. And so my biggest challenge, I think, at the time was probably obscurity, and also fear of speaking. Like I'm a very introverted person. I love, talking to my patients and families in the office, but I like to run by myself. Okay. And so those were like the huge hurdles at the beginning.
And all the introverts are like, I feel you in my subconscious. Okay. So
Yeah.
But
So
I'm
there
but
were
I'm
lots of challenges.
but I'm glad you embraced it. And I still remember, because I think even before you joined the business school, I think I joined one of your running programs, and it was just, I'm glad you do what you do. So now, so talk to me, because now I was going to say you're on the other side, but we don't actually get to the other side, right? Because we're always evolving. But talk to me about what business is like now, what wins you've created, and all of that.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that strangers have found me, which feels like a huge win. For a long while, it was all people I knew, family, friends, and then starting to create a referral base of some sort. But when I started to get some strangers, that was like this huge thing. And now I have created a system where I can predict. So I have a one-on-one coaching program, and I have a certain number of athletes in there. And people do all different types. They have different types of goals and races, but I can know if someone is going to run a half marathon or a marathon, they're probably going to take some time off, as they should, after that. And so I will be able to create, I know I'll have two open spots in, 3 months from now or 4 months from now. So I can start building my wait list and getting athletes to take their spot, because before it would be like I'd have all of this business and then a drought and then all of this business and a drought. And so I've developed systems around that. So that was a huge win. And I've tried a lot of different things. I've had group programs for beginners and a half marathon group, virtual races. And this past year, a fellow EBS student, Dr. Rashmi Shram, and I had actually two retreats. We did a movement and meditation retreat twice. And so you never know where things are going to go. Because when I started, and if you had told me 4 years ago that you would be doing all of this now, I would have said you were crazy.
You may or may not have told me that I was crazy,
I
actually.
think I did.
You probably did. But now when you say that, because guys, when she says this, what she means is she has sold out her one-on-one program, sold out her group program, so she has a wait list, did her virtual race, which was also sold out, and her retreats, they were both sold out. So she's created this massive demand, and just watching you do that, and this is the beauty of entrepreneurship, is this is obviously something that Dr. Quirk is very passionate about. But in order to engage in your passion, you need to learn how to build a business system around it. Otherwise, you're not free to do it, right? So you have this thing you're very passionate about. You built a business system around it, so you're never really working, right? Because it's like, I'm having fun, but because it pays for what it pays for, I'm free to just have fun and call it work. So, this is just amazing. So over the years, how would you say that being in the EntreMD Business School has helped you to then go from I don't know what I'm doing to I'm just selling things out left, right, and center?
I think many things. I was trying to pick a top three. I think probably accountability is the first one, because I was just so afraid of putting myself out there, and having this community of friends and colleagues to cheer you on and push you a little bit. I needed that push. So I think for me, accountability. Second would be community. I have, met wonderful people in the EntreMD Business School, people I call friends. And yeah, like I said, Rashmi and I have had these two retreats, and it was really a beautiful experience. And I don't think either of us could have predicted how great it would be, even when we were planning it. The first one was so good, that's why we did another one so soon. So I think accountability, community, and then the other one, really, from what we talked about tonight, learning to delegate. That has been like a huge thing for me. I thought I had to do it all myself.
Mhm.
Mindful Marathon is still small by my standards. I have one employee, soon to bring on another, but delegating social media and my weekly email and things like that really freed up a lot of time. And my assistant has really helped in the repurposing department. And so, yeah, there are times when it appears like I am on social media, but I am not.
See, that's magic, and feel free to write that down. It appears like, and I can add always, it appears like I'm always on social media, but truthfully, I'm not. And I have the overarching strategy, and I delegate, I show them what to do and all of those kind of things. But right? So that's beautiful. I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud of you too.
Oh,
So
well, thank you for everything. And, this community, I have, everyone to thank here too, because I wouldn't have stayed as long as I have if it wasn't working. And I am still working the visibility formula. That's the thing I wanted to say.
yeah, because we,
Everything
we
you're
never
learning
outgrow
here,
it.
no,
We never outgrow it, right?
no.
So that's powerful. And I want to give a big shout out because there are doctors from the EntreMD Business School. I'm always so grateful and amazed by the coachability of everyone that they're like, because we were just in EBS last night and people are like, oh my goodness, this call is off the chain, amazing, right? And then we're here, visibility formula, and they've been in this workshop, but they're like, there's more, we don't outgrow this. And so shout out, you're here in the EBS, I see you. I just scrolled through, I see you. Okay, so what would you say to the person who um, has been thinking of the business school? It's probably been in another launch before this one, but is afraid, right? Right. Like, I don't know if I'll be able to make the time. I don't know if this will work for me. I don't know if this will be worth the investment. Like, you've been there many times because you're going on 4 years, right? And you had many opportunities to leave. What would you say to that person?
Yeah, I think if it would help you to talk to someone who's in the school, you can always reach out to me. I'd be happy to tell you about my experience. But I think one thing that I've learned along the way is that there are times when I am much more engaged and I have the ability to be at the meetings, do all the challenges, read the book of the month, and all of those things. And there are times when I have to take a step back for personal reasons or whatever's going on in my doctoring job. Um, and it ebbs and flows like that. And I think that's normal. So if you think, you're going to join and be able to do everything 100%, you don't have to. And it's not built that way. So if you feel like it's an all or none kind of thing, you don't have to worry about that. Like even if you do a quarter of the challenge of the month, most of the time you will reap a lot of benefits and you'll still get to be a part of this amazing community. But if you have questions, really, I'd be happy to talk to you. Just reach out to me.
Aw, thank you so much for coming on, Dr. Quirk. You're like just amazing. You owe me a retreat though. So Dr. Quirk is now so busy that when I have retreats, she either has a retreat or she's speaking somewhere. I'm like, Dr. Michelle, I want my hug. Okay. So we will figure this out, you and I. But thank you so much for coming on to share your story. And like whether you are, private practice or whether you're a coach or where you're trying to monetize something that's, like that at this point is an idea, there is a spot for you in the EntreMD Business School. Dr. Michelle Quirk, over the years, we've interviewed her so many times, and every time it's just from one level to another. So thank you for, you guys show her some love in the comments. Thank you for sharing. If you are, this is for you because you've asked the questions, you've come on the calls, you're looking, you're listening to the podcast, you're showing up for the workshops, and then your next step is just to turn in your application. Okay, entremd.com/business. And actually, I'll walk you through what that's like. So I'm going to walk you through what the school looks like on the other end. And then we're going to bring on one more friend. She's so amazing. I can't wait for you to meet her. Cannot wait. All right. So I'm going to share my screen here. If I find it, give me 1 second. And then we're going to go through this. And then if you have questions, you can always pop them in the chat. At the end, we're going to come, Makita and I will come back on and we're going to do some questions here for you guys. Okay. All right. So let me do this. Okay. Awesome. All right. So EntreMD Business School. The EntreMD Business School is the #1 school for physician entrepreneurs who want to grow 6, 7, and multiple 7-figure businesses. We are not afraid to talk about money. We believe in serving and earning. We believe in building our dream lives and our dream businesses at the same time. So it's the only school of its kind, for physicians, by physicians, where you get 3 things you need to build a wildly successful business. You get the mentorship. You've experienced a little bit of that over these 4 days of the visibility formula. You get accountability because my focus is your results. And so it's not just about getting more information. We could have made a course where people come, do a lot of information, get a certificate, walk out. We don't do that because that's not what we're after. We're after you getting results. We're after you building the business, you creating the revenue, you understanding how to manage your time so you can live life on your own terms, all of that. And you get community. And, like, think of it like when you go into certain Facebook groups, it's like, woe is medicine, woe is all of us, this is terrible, and all of that. But coming into a place where people have decided, I am taking charge, I'm taking back control, I am going to make this business work, I am going to build that team. And you're doing it in the midst of friends, right? You're doing it in the midst of people who are literal vision boards for you. We have people in the EntreMD Business School who have other people in the EntreMD Business School on their vision boards, right? And so you're in this community of unicorns, really. So there is a lie that is all through the physician community that physicians don't make great entrepreneurs. We don't know how to do business. We suck at finances and all of that. We make really great entrepreneurs. And one of the reasons for that is we do people before profit. People before profits. We have the work ethic. We have the capacity to learn. We're not afraid of doing hard things. We make really great entrepreneurs. Okay. All right. So this is just a picture. This was from where was this? Our last vision retreat? Yes, our last vision retreat in Fort Lauderdale. These are some of the docs from the EntreMD Business School. Dr. Michelle, I need to see in the next picture. And I just put this picture up here because it represents the diversity of the group, the different kinds of businesses, and all represented. So Dr. Funke up here, Dr. Funke Afolabi Brown, is a sleep medicine doc. And she started off building out her personal brand, speaking, and she has spoken on some of the most phenomenal stages. Baby Center brought her in to create a course. They paid her, flew her to Atlanta to create a course for them and all of that. And then just recently she decided, you know what, I'm going to start my own practice too. So she started her own practice in addition to that. Dr. Mecca, private practice. He had probably been in private practice about 7 or 8 years or so before he came into the EntreMD Business School. And he's like, I know I'm doing well, but I know there's so much more. And he's peds as well. So go peds. And he's done such a phenomenal job, built a rock star team, and it's taking his private practice from one level to another. Just amazing to see. Dr. Rachel Rubin was an employed physician, wanted to start her own practice, came into the EntreMD Business School. She is a urologist, fellowship trained in sexual medicine, and started building her brand and literally exploded. She's been invited to some of the biggest stages, recently brought to Hawaii to do some keynoting there. She's been featured on New York Times and was on text message basis with billionaires who reached out to her because of her work. So totally crushing it. Dr. Tolu here is family medicine. She has a practice in Mansfield, Texas. Started off same thing, employed, wanted to start her practice, started her practice. I think she had by the 5th week, she was fully booked, right? For Dr. Rachel Rubin here, she started with a waiting list of 350 patients. It's just wild. Okay, Dr. Whaley Gray here, sleep medicine doc in Vermont. She's a true entrepreneur, loves her job, not planning to quit, building her brand, started a podcast, and really learned how to be a true entrepreneur. So she negotiates like a boss. I met her at the last retreat. She says, Dr. Una, I made the most money I've ever made as an employed physician, and I took 12 weeks off, right? Like, so she's eliminated burnout and all those things for her because she's learned to use her entrepreneurial skills in an employed setting. Dr. Carolina Swaldo started off building her brand and all of that. Eventually, she's fertility medicine, and she decided to start her own practice, and she started in Fort Lauderdale, and she's crushing. Like, it's just beautiful to see. So as you can see, all kinds of docs doing all kinds of things in one community. Okay. So I celebrate them, and you could be next, and I would love to help. So why the EntreMD Business School? Why not some other school? Because our focus is on implementation. So you learn to do, and that changes everything. Right? So some of you may be saying, oh, I hear these things, but I'm not motivated to do them. I hear these things, but I'm too afraid to do them. You heard Dr. Michelle Quirk. She was like, I was afraid to do those things, right? But the accountability was what made the difference. You have an inspiring and supportive community. Dr. Toomer talked about this yesterday. It's really hard to describe. But imagine a community where people are building businesses you only dreamed of. People are building teams you only dreamed of. People are so supportive. You can come there and be as vulnerable as you need to be with your trials, and you can be as open as you want to be with your wins. Like, people come in and say, I crossed the 7-figure mark. We just hit 2 million in business. We just brought, like, they will come and share that, which will inspire you to go like, wait, I can do that too, right? It's such an amazing community. And our primary goal is your results. We're not doing this just to do it. We want you to get results. We want you to win. We want you to build profitable businesses. We want you to build teams that will give you freedom. That's what we want. Okay. So what are the things that are involved? Well, weekly live coaching sessions. So just imagine what we're doing in the visibility formula workshop, like in that context, but now you have the coaching, you have the Q&A, you have the laser coaching, you have workshops, like all those kind of things that are happening. We would get, guests sometimes who are really successful physician entrepreneurs to come in as well. So we have the weekly live coaching sessions every Wednesday at 7:00. Like yesterday, we talked about profitable speaking, how to speak in such a way, whether you're on stage, on a podcast, on someone's YouTube channel, doing a live stream, that leads to your business goals, that leads to more clients, more referral sources, and all of that. It was just like phenomenal. We have monthly momentum challenges. So every month there's a challenge. The idea is to keep you in momentum. And so this month we had what we called the milestone challenge. And we put that there because this month is the last month in the first quarter of the year. So we're going to finish that month strong. So we end Q1 really strong. So every month there's something to do. You have the private Facebook group where all these doctors are. You can always ask whatever question you need, whatever connections you need. You can share the wins, you can share the trials, like all of those people open doors for each other. Like all of that is happening within the Facebook community. Like the Facebook community has about 110 people in it. And the EntreMD Facebook group where you're doing your homework has 2,800 people. But the one with 100 people is more active. Like if you can imagine it, it's so wild, it's so crazy. But anyway, we have the CEO Power Hour, which is an hour you devote to working on your business. So you come in small groups and you do what we call eating frogs. So those things you need to do in your business that will move the needle forward that you don't get to doing, you do them in that hour. So there's positive peer pressure. Dr. Beckford runs those. We have specialty in-person events. We have a vision retreat where we set our goals for the year and all that. That happens in October. And then we have the Business Makeover Mastermind, which is more nuts and bolts, like lifting up the hood of your business, looking under, diagnosing and fixing. And that happens in April. So we have one coming up. You have the EBS Vault. So I told you the business school started in July of 2020. And everything we have done since we started the school is there. So you can actually go back and watch Dr. Michelle on a coaching call when she first started, and Dr. Tuma, all these, because it's all there. It's like so fantastic to see. And then we have this book club. Like every month as a group, we read a book. We share ahas from the book. And other than the Wednesday live coaching sessions, this is what people are like, this is one of the things that's helped me the most in the business school, right? Because we're learning to do. It's just fantastic. So again, this was from an April retreat that we had. These are some of the lovely docs in the school. Now, so this is perfect for you. I talked about this yesterday. If you're someone who's coachable, okay, someone who's committed, you're committed to your goals. You're like, I want to build this business. I want to build a 6-figure business, 7-figure business, whatever that is. And I just need the support. I need the mentorship, the community, the accountability to get it done. If that's you, then this is absolutely perfect for you. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't need to have the whole roadmap. That's our job, right? You just need to have made the decision that I am going to make this work. Okay. If this is you, then it's perfect for you. But if you are somebody who is, like you're a complainer, maybe there's nobody here like that, complainer, blamer, and you're looking for a get rich quick type of thing, entrepreneurship, don't mind what Instagram says, is not get rich quick. It simply is not. Okay. All right. So the investment, so I like to put this here. If I wanted to go get an MBA at Emory, this is what it will cost me, about 140 grand. And I've looked at a number of MBA programs, and their promise is, what they will tell you is 80% of the people who do this, or on average, the people who do this program end up getting a job for 116,000. Well, I'm not going to go to business school to get a job. That's not why I'm here. I'm going to business school because I want a profitable business, right? I want a profitable business. Okay. So that's the promise. Okay. That's the promise. but it's not 140,000. Okay. Your investment for the EntreMD Business School, and if you notice, I did not call it a cost, is $30,000 for the year. Okay. It's $30,000 for the year. Is 12 payments of 2,750. Okay. And there are some financing options if that's something that you're interested. When you turn in your application, Makita will talk to you about that. Okay. Okay. So if you do the pay in full, of course you get, you get a discount there. So you may be thinking, okay, so I don't know if this is the right time. The truth of the matter is the right time was yesterday, 2016, not now. So the best next time is now, right? So this is not the right time, or I don't have the time. So you'll see one of the things we demystified here is how to create time. Okay, so in this container, you will be taught how to create time. You'll be taught how to buy back your time and all of that stuff. You may be thinking, well, I've tried something like this before and it didn't work. And the truth of the matter is this is the way I look at it. I have one life, and in this one life, I am determined to become everything I have the potential to be, right? And so the option of something didn't work and so I quit does not exist. If it didn't work, I give myself grace, I forgive myself, and then I keep it moving, because this is not the rehearsal, this is the life, right? And so if you're thinking any of those things, I just want to invite you to think differently about that. So again, some of my wonderful docs in the school. So, you really have three options. You can say, well, this visibility format workshop was fun, I'm not going to do anything. I hope you don't do that. You may say, this was great, but I got it. I can go implement it on my own. And we gave you a lot of good stuff, implement it. But you may say, no, I got a lot of good stuff. I've started creating wins, but I want to get the ongoing support. I want to get the ongoing mentorship. I know that like visibility formula is really, really good, but there are other aspects, like how am I going to build my team? How am I going to put myself in a position where I'm going to actually execute on these things? I want to be in this container. Okay. So a few bonuses here. For those of you who are signing up today, I think the first 7 are going to get a business audit with Makita. If you do the pay in full, so that's for the payment plan. If you do the pay in full, you get a one-on-one session with me. I do not believe there's still 3 left. I think it's 2 now. And then we have our our kickoff event on the 21st. So you actually get to be in the room on the 20th. And so that's next Wednesday. You get to be in the room with all your new classmates. And then you have your kickoff events on the following Thursday. So these are your next steps. Complete your application, get on a call, pay your tuition, block the calendar, and get ready for the ride of a lifetime. Okay. So this is the way I think. I make the decision, then I make the decision right. Okay. So entremd.com/business. That's the EntreMD Business School for you. And I'm going to answer questions after this. I want to bring on Dr. Carrie. I've been waiting. I'm like, oh my goodness, let me get to her. Okay. So I'm going to bring her on, and I want you to hear from a real life doc who is like totally crushing it. Dr. Carrie. Hi.
Hi, everybody. Hi.
How are you? Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I thought you was going to be interviewed by Makita, so now I'm nervous, but that's okay.
No, I don't bite. I'm good people. Do I get to see you in April? I don't remember.
Yes, you do.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Okay. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll let you introduce yourself to the people. And like Dr. Michelle, I have tons of questions for you.
Okay. My name is Carrie Reller. I am the CEO of Clearwater Family Medicine and Allergy in Clearwater and Palm Harbor, Florida. We help people or patients prevent chronic disease, move better and breathe better by living, and live their happiest and best lives. And my situation is a little bit more unique. I did start like my family medicine side of practice, so I'm family medicine, but I started that from scratch, and it would have been nice if EntreMD existed in 2016 when I did that. But I actually kind of took my father's allergist specialty group and joined him, and now we have like a small multi-specialty group that he's nearing retirement, and I'm trying to kind of continue the practice. So it's a little bit different of a situation. I didn't start, I had some support when I started, I should say. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that was really, fascinating, like the daughter-father duo that you had going there. And of course, the dynamics of new generation, old generation, all of that. So it was I love talking to you when you first started. So tell me, like, so you already had this, and there's already like a lot of successes and all of that. So what were the challenges you were experiencing that made you say, man, I need to get myself in the EntreMD business school?
So one of the things was when I agreed to start with him, he was going to train me up in allergy and I was going to take over in 5 years. And COVID hit. And so we kind of delayed everything. And then when I had the conversation, when am I going to be in charge? He was like, well, you don't know anything about business, right? And I'm like, you might be right. I'm not going to lie. But, he was supposed to kind of mentor me on that. And I think COVID did give us a lot of challenges. So not knowing anything about business, which is true. I had like 2 business classes in grad school, and I'm like a serial degree collector and I have lots of degrees, but I kind of
You
thought I
see
was
me
done with
reaching
that.
for my pencil to write that down. I have never heard that statement before. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I thought I was done learning. I think during COVID, I did like obesity medicine training so that I didn't stop. But, I think the truth of the matter is something that we all know is that you continue learning forever. And I think that's part of this. So, I think that was a big challenge of just not knowing anything about business. And then, I really still needed to kick off my family medicine side of the practice and continue the allergy side and learn all the finances, right? We had this crazy overhead. We didn't know what was going on. He was paying everything by paper checks and the bills were just, I don't know. We just didn't know what was going on financially. And so I, have done a lot since then. Obviously EBS has helped with that too. Yeah.
That's amazing. That must have been quite the challenge. And I think all the doctors will nod, we're like, yeah, you don't know anything about business, but fortunately, we're in times where we can fix that. So talk to us about what life looks like now, because you're in your second year.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, you're in your second year. So what does life look like now?
Yeah. So I'm not a complete introvert, but when it comes to speaking and being on stage, I definitely am. And I think I had followed you for a while and I'm like always saying, oh, I'm going to start a podcast. So that's where I started with my visibility and, kind of created my headquarters. And yes, we posted on YouTube and everything. But I think that was something that really helped. And now it is where like people see so I'm insurance based. So they'll look up like their insurance and they'll find my name and then they Google me. Right. And that's where all of this stuff shows up and they're like, oh, interesting. And just recently I started really focusing on Google reviews and even that's like popping in, but I was getting good reviews from the insurance companies and I'm like, where are these reviews? I have no idea, but it's still like, once they see all that and then they Google me and they come in the office and they're like, oh, how'd you find me? And they say, online, whatever. So it definitely works. I definitely feel like I've gotten crazy busy since then on the primary side and the allergy side from that. So, and like patient engagement. So I don't know who's listening. I don't know how they assess downloads from Buzzsprout because people tell me they're listening, but I don't have very many downloads, but it's happening. Right. And then, since then I've also like hired VAs and that's helped because as we've grown, the phone call burden to the office was ridiculous. So I hired, what is it called? Healthcare VAs, right? And one was like interested in all the social media stuff that we've been doing. And I had hired my niece for social media and the podcast editing, and she kind of needed to cut back because she's a dietitian and got a real job. So I got the HVA interested. So now my like nurse who accepts calls to the office is also doing the social media on the side. And like you had said, she repurposes it. And I don't really touch social media that much. I think sometimes you can tell when I post something extra, but I think it's still working and definitely helping for visibility if we're, really discussing that today. So that's made a difference. We were already a very successful practice. We had a 26% revenue increase from 22 to 23, which is pretty huge. If you think about the finances behind it. Let's see what else. We had like no organization for team and in the office, like who knows who's out sick when, there's no like PTO policy, no handbook, nothing. Everything was so old school in our office that it's a big deal to come in there and, kind of restructure everything. And we're still working on all of that for sure. But at least we have like a handbook and policies. I hired a new nurse practitioner because our one wanted to retire. It was an excellent handoff. She is so good, and she's helping me on both sides of the practice. She sees allergies, she sees my well visits, she sees acute visits. She's fantastic. So that is good. I'm working on hiring an allergist. We have 2 new MAs coming in that are a big upgrade. I'm willing to, pay more now for them because I need, better employees that are going to be helpful, and so I can see people faster and more efficiently. So I'm constantly trying to increase the efficiency of the practice. Our buildings are very old. I have my sister helping me remodel our satellite office. We're still figuring out what to do with our main office. And my brothers are both MBA, one's JD MBA. They have very successful businesses, but business as a doctor is totally different.
Yeah.
And I could ask him all the information I want and help me, but like having EBS to reflect back on is a big difference, I think, than me just asking them some business questions. It's different. So I have that in my family, but I definitely, think that EBS has a lot to do with some of the changes, obviously. So I don't know. Does that answer your question? Should I keep going?
I don't know. People in the comments, let me know. Did that answer my question? Man, I'm so happy for you. Like 20%, 26% increase. Like that's nothing to sneeze at. And the teams you're building and the organization and really blending those 2 practices, right? Like your 2 different specialties and 2 different generations. Like that's like out of this world. How would you say that EBS has helped you like make those changes? Like what aspects of it helped you?
So one is, I think, the book of the month thing. So I hadn't read anything, but like, I like to read. I'd read novels, but like, I didn't pick up a book like that would be helpful, like in years. I don't have a clue. And now I'm like divulging them constantly. I go on long runs and I listen to them. And I mean, honestly, I wish I listened to them multiple times. I know I need to like write everything down, but it's amazing to help with the mindset for that. And now my husband's reading them, and he's actually starting his own business and quit his job. So that's another hiccup we're going through. But the mindset has just been really amazing, especially with the book of the month. And then the other thing is probably the community. I really feel like I can have these questions to bounce off of people. And, I was kind of like by myself, family medicine doc, starting a practice. I mean, my dad's an allergist, but like, he didn't, I didn't know. I just started doing everything and I didn't really have anyone to talk to. So really having the community to bounce ideas off of and learn different programs, different ways of doing things that help like make things more efficient, or financial things as well. Like everybody has something to offer and are all willing, to feedback. And then obviously the community, because they're all coming on my podcast. And honestly, the best thing about the podcast is I'm learning so much from everybody else. Like I get little CME credits from hosting the podcast, which is a lot of fun. And then I have trouble with I can't do everything. It's impossible for me to do everything within EBS. I have trouble with the power hour now because it's busy on Fridays, and that's when I kind of do it. And then every other time is like family time. So balancing everything is pretty difficult. And, I don't like being on Facebook so much, so I'm not in there all the time. But I think that the challenges I just don't go in and post about it every night if we're doing one. So, I mean, I think I'm getting so much out of it. It's just, I know there's more, and I just, you can't do it all. And I think like Michelle had said, that kind of ebbs and flows of how much you can participate. Yeah. And, I went through a period where I was able to go to all the live calls, and then the daughter's soccer schedule changed. So I'm like, now I sometimes listen, but I'm not really. So I go back and listen to it. And it's been nice because I do the EBS to go podcast, like in my car on the way to work. And that really helps me as well, kind of catch up when I need to. So that's another great thing that is there for it. Yeah.
That's awesome. And you talked about reading. That's something that many physicians have told me. Like, I love the book of the month. I haven't read a business I haven't read a personal development book since forever. And the spouses and the kids are reading as well. And many spouses have gone on to start their own business. Like it's these are all themes. So it's so fun to see. Like I was saying yesterday, there's not a call where a kid doesn't pop in, including the call yesterday. Like, and we're like, yeah, there's EBS Junior. Like, go for it. So that's amazing. What would you say to the person who, because I say this because the first time I had an opportunity to invest in myself, you've heard me tell this story, it was a $43,000 program. And I remember going like, 43, like, but did they lace it with gold? Like, what did I miss? What is happening here? But I couldn't shake it off because I'm like, it seems like on the other side of this is a version of me I've never seen before, where the things that I want to do, this will be the container where I can get to do it in. And I'm so grateful that I signed up for it. Right. My husband and I still joke about it. We're like, that's the best $43,000 we've ever spent. We still talk about it. And so there are people who are in that position now where they're thinking about it. They've maybe even applied before. Maybe this is their first time hearing about it. They're just wondering, right? They're in that valley of indecision. They're kind of excited, but nervous at the same time. What would you say to that person?
Well, I mean, it's definitely something to be nervous about because you are deciding what, it's not a cheap investment, but I like the comment of it being cheaper than an MBA. Like I said, both my brothers have an MBA. I like to collect degrees, right? But I mean, I think that this was a big investment in myself, in my future, and, even in the business's future. And it was kind of like, I almost threw up when I did it, but it's like a no-brainer. I think that it's definitely it's great to have the accountability, the partnership, the mentor. So it's normal to be nervous, but I think it's just a really great idea to invest in yourself. I've never done coaching or anything like that. And I think this is, kind of similar, but investing in yourself is really important. And now you've heard other people say, we're all kind of budgeting for it for the future and kind of continuing to learn and develop all these skills. So, I mean, normal to be nervous, but I definitely think it's a really good idea. And I'm so happy that I have done it too. And I had written something down that I wanted to say. I don't know. I think just the continual learning thing is a big thing for me. And I don't know, no question. I think I would do it again. So I think everybody else should too. Yeah.
It's normal to be nervous. I like that. It's normal to be nervous. I think in EBS, this is the way we put it. I did it and I didn't die, right?
Yeah. I was going to say,
like, I did it and I didn't die.
It's normal to be uncomfortable. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing, those kind of things, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Man, thank you for coming on and for sharing your story and sharing your wins, and congrats. Those are really huge. And we've really loved having you in the school and all that. So when Makita told me you're coming on tonight, I was like super excited. So thank you for coming on to share your story, and you guys show her some love in the comments. Like she said, even if you're nervous, but you're committed, this is the time, like turning your application and all of that stuff. And then we'll talk to you on the other side of this. So thank you so much, Dr. Reller.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And if anybody wants to, ask me questions too, I'm welcome to answer them. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, so here we are. Two things we're going to do. First of all, turn in your application. Okay, even if you're like, but I really have questions. We will answer those questions, because after you turn in your application, what happens is Makita will reach out to you and all of those things, and you set up a call. So you get to ask your question. You met Makita, so clearly she's not going to strong arm you into anything. It's just to help you get to that point where you're making a decision, either absolutely or absolutely not, right? So that's what the second thing you're going to do is you're going to go take a look at how you are going to do your batching, delegating, repurposing, and all of those things. Okay. So Nikita and I are going to stay on for another 10 minutes or so. And so if you have questions about the school and all of those things, you can post them in the chat. We're going to answer those. And then I will see you for day 5. So day five is all about case studies of what visibility makes possible. So how many of you are glad we brought on stories today? You got to meet real life. Like, Dr. Una, we hear you, but we want the real scoop, right? Like, so, so we're going to have a lot of case studies of what is possible, right? Hi, Dr. Karen. What is possible? You can see. So yes, there's some chaos in the healthcare space and all of this, but these are doctors who are making it work, right? So case studies, lots of case studies. So you want to save it, same link, all of that. Okay. All right. So let me